I know, studio update videos are kind of cliche, especially in 2020, but this video has been in the works since late 2019, and I've been working on my office since before my son was born in mid-2017. Started with doing some light painting, some light remodeling, and building some built-ins. I tried different desks, I tried different chairs, and I tried just about every possible layout for those things in the room. I settled on one layout for just about 2 years, but it still just wasn't right. The desk I settled on too wasn't quite right. It never really fit me, and the build quality was subpar, to say the least. Over this time period, I was also doing a lot more video editing, a lot more, and I just needed a little bit more power than my MacBook Pro. It was time to build a much needed editing machine, and so after 2.5 years of experimenting and testing the setup like Goldilocks, I built the final desk and the editing machine as part of it, and these are their stories. I was lucky enough to get these automatic standing desk legs from Fully, thanks to my parents for a birthday present. And as much as I love my current desk, at least the way the legs look, it's just not the perfect desk for me. It's just a little bit too high. The desk's top is a little bit kind of, well, cheap. It's damaged, and even from day one, it already had dings, and I've been looking to upgrade for a while, and now that I got the adjustable legs, I was planning on getting a desktop from IKEA, like a countertop like everybody else does, and then I got the idea stuck in my head that I need to use reclaimed wood instead. Hi, I had a question. I'm looking for some, like, obviously reclaimed hardwood, like maple. I'm sorry, what? How's now? I know I'm gonna get at least one weird look with that car seat in the front seat like that. I opted not to have the shop finish it for me. One, because I wanted to do it myself, and two, because I need to save a lot of money. What's that beeping? Now that the frame's mostly put together, barring all the final drilling, I need to figure out what side of the desk I want to be up and forwards and all of that before I finish the wood and bolt everything in permanently. Well, you know, semi-permanently. Ouch! God damn it, it's heavy. I think this is the way it's gonna go. I think so.
Oh, check that out! Oh my gosh, that goes really high. That's good.
No, because you're not going to hang from it.
This upgrade for me is more than just a desk. It also includes making a custom editing computer that I've been planning for 6 months to be built under the desk.
Into the bottom of a desk. It's going to be awesome.
And the parts have been arriving and piling up as I waited to build the desk. Now that I have the desk everything's going to go on, I can finally unbox all the PC parts. A lot of parts. Let's build this thing. After perusing the internet for inspiration and build parts, I settled on using a clear ABS plastic as the main mount. Creating a mount for this was as simple as melting in some standoff screws into the ABS plastic and then just screwing in the motherboard. And I'd figure out how to bolt on the power supply and GPU to the bottom of the desk once I had it running and working properly. Somehow, maybe through getting these shots, or maybe it was the 10+ years since building a PC that left me rusty, but I managed to bend the CPU pins on the motherboard.
I'm gonna try again.
And the computer wouldn't stay on. It was broken. While the computer build needed a few more parts and a bunch more time, so did the desk. One of the bigger challenges for this particular piece of wood that I picked out was that there was a massive crack going down the center. Most people probably wouldn't have picked this piece, but I thought it had some character to it and I wanted to fill it with resin. And I decided to use a clear epoxy instead of a black epoxy so that hopefully I could see through it a little bit and preserve a bit of the texture inside. But filling this many cracks and cracks this large meant lots of epoxy, lots of coats of epoxy, and a lot of sanding. And that's just the beginning. I had to hit this with power sanders of all kinds, had to buy an angle grinder, and had to throw in a bunch of hours of hand sanding and hand planing to get it flat. And I had to do that for every coat of epoxy. Then after all that sanding, you reveal imperfections in your resin pour. So you fill it with more resin. Sand it again, plane it again, and repeat. For days. And I did that for every coat of epoxy. All 5. Finally, it was time to pull out the circular saw and square off the sides. Until that didn't work.
Oh, what is this terrible cut? Oh, it's so bad. Damn it.
So back to that motherboard that I broke. Even with all the magnifying glasses I had, I wasn't able to put Humpty Dumpty back together again and rushed off to buy a new motherboard. A quick motherboard swap and I was off to a good start. By this point though, I was realizing that all the effort going into the desk meant I no longer wanted to drill a bunch of holes into the bottom of the piece of wood that I'd worked so hard on, and I didn't want to mount the PC under there, so I pivoted and went with a wall mount. My dad's old 30-year-old circular saw and rusted blade wasn't doing the trick. I tried to fix the edge cut with a jigsaw and that just made things worse. With a brand new saw though, these cuts to square off the left and right sides of the desk were simple. I've opted to leave the front and back edges as live edges because why else would you go through all this trouble of reclaimed wood if not to keep the raw edge?
That was so easy.
With that done, I could see the finish line, but it was back to sanding. To finish it, I sanded it down to about 1500 grit and the clear resin parts down to about 3000. Because if I've learned anything from painting a bunch of motorcycles, it's that the finished product is only ever as good as the prep you put in. So I prepped this a lot.
And after hours and hours and days of sanding, I finally get to apply the finish. For the finish, I'm using Audie's oil, Audie's wood butter, and Audie's wax. For the bottom side of the table, I'm just gonna do it with 1 coat of oil and maybe 1 coat of wax, but really looking forward to finishing this thing. Ooh, it smells quite good. After 2 coats of the butter,
I'm finally ready to finish this thing off with a coat of wax. And I'm super excited. I put in a lot of prep for this piece. I probably could have spent a few more hours sanding it perfectly smooth, but 9 out of 10, I'm happy with it. After hours and hours of working on this desk, patching the resin, planing it off, sanding it forever, oiling it, and now finally finishing it, I'm super excited to be able to move this into the office. All the time, the work, and the money that I put into making this desktop, yeah, it would have been cheaper if I paid the wood shop to do it for me and just picked it up. Probably be done by now too. But I wouldn't have had the experience, I wouldn't have learned anything, and I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much.
Holy moly. I can't believe that after all this time of working on the desk, after all this time of sanding it, and after months of not editing this video, I finally finished this thing. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm still enjoying my desk 6 months later. I wouldn't have changed a thing. But until the next reclaimed desk build and the next PC build video, that does it for this one. Bye for now.